Esta nueva programación del Ensamble Experimental Electrónico ESPOL propone un acercamiento a la escena electrónica desde sus protagonistas. Conversaremos con DJs, productores y demás profesionales de la industria desde Berlín, Tokio, Atenas, New York, Londres, Santiago de Chile, Buenos Aires. Maher Daniel, DJ y productor canadiense, ha demostrado su gran trabajo en el circuito mundial, plasmando su música en los mejores labels de la industria. Fundador del record label The Other Side, donde colabora con grandes artistas como Ricardo Villalobos, SIT, Sammy Dee, Petre Inspirescu, entre otros. Su marca se ha establecido como una gran experiencia en la escena, desde SXM en St. Martin hasta Uberhaus en Beirut.
Hi guys, this is Maher Daniel, and I'm happy to take part in ESPOL's University of Guayaquil documentary by Daniel Campoverde. So, we're going to start off from the very, very beginning. When did I realize my path? I mean, it started off at an early age. When I was in high school, I used to take music classes. I used to take GCSE music because I was in a British system, and I was playing the guitar. And I've always wanted to, do something within music. As I got older and left high school in Dubai, I moved over to Montreal for college and university. Music kind of stepped back a little bit, but I was lucky because my brother was a DJ. His friends and his crew were DJs. So I really fell into the industry and the scene through them. Started off as just a dance floor kid, always going out and supporting them. And from there, my love for electronic music and DJing started taking off. I remember the first time I started playing records, my brother had moved to Dubai for work, and he had left his records and his equipment at the house. And from there, I just started playing records, just started DJing, started playing with his records. I was doing it for fun. I really enjoyed it. And then one day, I decided I was going to record a mix. As I recorded this mix, it got into the hands of one of the owners of Stereo, where he gave me my first opportunity to open up Stereo Bar downstairs. And from there, things kind of just took off. I realized that I wanted to do this more and more. From that night that I played my opening set, I was given an opportunity to become a resident at the club, where I slowly developed my skills and pushed forward to becoming a resident upstairs in the main room. During this period, I decided that I wanted to even take it more further and start producing. So what I did was I got myself a couple version of Ableton Live at the time, and I just started messing around and started making music. And next thing I know, almost 20 years down the line, here I am in this full time. This is my life. This is what I do for a living. On tour all the time on the weekends, and just writing music during the week in the studio when I'm free. And it's just something that lives within me. It's my passion. Music has always been a part of my life from a very early age, thanks to my father. And I'm happy that I can do this for a living and be able to provide and give people entertainment and make people smile with the music that I make. The tools that I use to develop my art is very, it's scattered. When I'm in the studio in Barcelona, we're working on Pro Tools and a full main rig with hardware. When I'm at home, I'm using basic setup of just a MIDI controller with some really heavy plugins that I use. For example, one of my favorite plugins right now that I like to use all the time is Cycles by Slade and Ash. Which is a granule modulator, which allows you to really take samples and different sounds develop your sound and make it something completely abstract and different, which really gives it an interesting texture. Also, soft tubes modular. When I'm not in front of the rack, I use soft tubes modular because it's basically a soft synth modular rack, but working with IntelliGel and obviously Eurorack and all the amazing all the amazing modular systems that are available. It's a lot of learning process, and I believe that it's always trial and error with certain things like this. And I believe that the music that I'm making is it's constantly evolving, and this is due to my influences. One of the biggest artists that I admire, and I think is one of my biggest influences, is Ricardo Villalobos. I know a lot of people say this, but I've over the years gotten the chance to really know him well. I was lucky enough to work with him in the studio, and we were able to put out a 3-part EP. So far, the first 2 parts are out. The third part will come out at the end of the summertime. I think just the way he programs and the way he writes his music is extremely, it's different. It's different than everybody else out there. It's inspiring to think that you can take a 4/4 and develop a completely clutter-based beat structure that really inspires and makes such a different groove than what you normally have on what's out there. And also just as a person and being able to chat with him and what we've spoken about over the years has really inspired me to develop my sound and develop my skills and inspire my sound. I mean, the current situation that we're in right now is really difficult. As an artist full time, it's a lot of my earnings come from gigging, so it's been kind of tough. Obviously, as a Barcelona-based artist, I was stuck in St. Martin and then had to come to Montreal. So I've been in Montreal for almost a month now, month and a bit. And that's also been difficult considering I don't have my studio space and I don't have my usual stuff that I work with. I think this current situation has impacted the market really hard, particularly the small clubs and the small venues. Simply because they don't have the capacity to work on large scales, and a lot of these venues need our support. A lot of the staff of these venues need our support. So hopefully within the next couple of months, we'll start seeing the smaller venues start opening up and resurrect a little bit better than the larger venues. And hopefully, if people are safe and take care and do exactly what they need to do, we'll be able to, eventually be back to where we were. Obviously, it's going to take some time. I believe that nothing's going to happen up until 2021 in regards to the larger scale events and larger scale venues. But I might be wrong, and hopefully something out of this will happen. So the most important thing is that people respect the laws and stay safe. And do what needs to be done. The most thing that I enjoy about playing for a crowd is usually seeing people's smiles when I'm dropping certain records. I think it's really important that when you're DJing, you're connecting with the audience. Also doing what it is that you do. But being able to translate what you love and how much, each record that you're playing is going to impact on the dance floor. So for me, I think that's the most important thing, is seeing people smile. It really it humbles me when I see people dancing and moving around to what it is that I'm kind of currently creating with my mixes. The experience that I have with people is amazing. I think that, every time somebody comes up to me and says how much they enjoyed that set, or somebody explains to me how they love my music, it really humbles me and brings me back down to earth, considering, I'm a DJ, and all I'm doing is, apart from being cliche about this, but like putting 2 records together, 3 records, depending on how it is, just being able to give somebody some kind of like inspiration and make them happy and smile. It's that's one of the most important things for me. I'm currently working on my second album, potentially third, considering how much time I've had. But also working a lot on the record label, The Other Side, and the sub-label, which is Creature, where we'll be putting out a ton of amazing music. The last release was myself and Ricardo Villalobos, which is the second part to our Changes EP. For the Creature label, the next one is 005, and that one is myself and Sean Reeves, and also Ricardo on the flip side. And focusing on getting new artists, new developing artists, and pushing them. I think for The Other Side, the next release is going to be something really special. We've been working on it for a couple of years now. It's a Guy from Downstairs in Romania alongside Petre Inspirescu remix. Following that will be Dub Found with a very special remix that I'm not going to talk about right now. I just want to tell everybody to stay safe, stay strong. We'll get through this. And if you believe in what it is that you're doing, and this is something that you're passionate about and you want to follow through with it, just give it your 100%, because that's the only way it's going to work. You won't go far if you do this half-assed. And just be respectful of everybody around you. Be humble. That's one extremely key thing, is being humble with your peers. Give everybody the respect and love that they deserve and appreciate. And that's it. So thank you very much. I really appreciate you taking the time to sit down and be here with us. And thanks again to Daniel Campoverde.